Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Untold Stories podcast with me, your host Cameron. In this episode, we will be talking about my predictions using the Predictor app on the Euro 2020 fantasy game as to who I think will win the tournament and how the tournament will pan out. So if we start off with Group A, the teams are Sweden, Turkey, Wales and Italy. I think this will be quite a tough game, and I think Italy, I think, will finish first. I think that they are in a really strong run. They haven't been beaten in nearly 3 years, I think it is. Only conceding 7 goals since September 2018. Very, very strong team. Very big underdog. But for this tournament, I think they could do very well. Now, the second place is a place in this group where I think all 3 teams can get it. I'm going to go with Turkey. I think Turkey have got a really strong team. In my opinion, are a team that can surprise a lot of people to do well in this tournament. Third place, I'm going to go Switzerland. Switzerland have, likes of Shaqiri, Xhaka, some very good players. Sommer in goal. Said, they've got some good players. And the reason I put Wales in fourth is purely down to what's happening, like in the lead up to the Euros with all the Ryan Giggs, court stuff. I think that having all that in the build-up will definitely be a struggle mentally for all the players, whether they know if Giggs is going to be a part of this camp or is it going to be his assistant. So I think that's a big talking point for the start of the Euros, and that's why I think there's a bit too much of an unrest coming into the Wales camp, although they do have the likes of Bale, Aaron Ramsey, some top quality players. I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible, obviously, because we have a lot of things to go through. We have, groups all the way down to F, and then the third place prediction. So if we move on to Group B, in this group we have Russia, Belgium, Denmark, and Finland. Now, in my opinion, Belgium will win it. They have probably one of, if not the strongest team on paper going into this tournament, although there is a speculation whether De Bruyne will play any part in the group stage. I know he's already been confirmed as out of the first game, but they don't know if he can play in a mask after that or whether he'll have to come in later on in the tournament, so that's still for debate. But even without De Bruyne, their team is exceptionally strong, and I think they can definitely have a good go at it, although they are notorious for being very underwhelming when it comes to the big stage, in my opinion. In second place, I'm going to go with Denmark. This is a bit of an odd one, but I think their team, their defensive core is just fantastic. I think they might get out of the group, and then obviously I'll talk about what will happen later to them. Third place, Russia. I think Russia, especially at the World Cup, definitely surprised people with how well they did, and I think fourth place will be Finland. They've got Hradecky in goal. They've got Timu Pukki, obviously had a brilliant season for Norwich again. See how he does next season in the Premier League, whether he carries on the way he's been, or whether he'll do something similar to what he did last time he was in the Premier League. We'll wait and find out. Move on to Group C. We have got Austria, North Macedonia, Ukraine and the Netherlands. I think it's a no-brainer the Netherlands will win this group, and if they don't, there will be some serious questions asked about them. Second place, I think will go to Ukraine. I think Ukraine are a brilliant team. I think a lot of people don't realise how good of a team they have, especially for the future. I think their team in the next World Cup and Euro, so the next two major tournaments, will definitely be a surprise package. I think they'll start becoming that and developing into that in this tournament, as with them getting out of the group. Third place is a bit tough because Macedonia, they have that capability to beat the big teams. They beat Germany recently. They score a lot of goals. So is there an option for them to progress? I don't think so. I think they'll come fourth, and I think Austria will be third. Austria, David Alaba in there, Marko Arnautovic in there, Marcel Sabitzer in there. I think that team is more than capable of becoming third and potentially progressing through to the knockout rounds, with being one of the best third place teams. If we move on to Group D, obviously the home nations group, with England and Scotland both in here alongside Croatia and the Czech Republic. I believe that Croatia will win this group. I know, England. I may be in English. I want England to win the group, but I do believe that Croatia, they have the history of beating England, especially in the World Cup. Everyone remembers that. Harry Kane should have passed it. But Croatia, they have that talent. Modric, what a player! And Rakitic, they have the quality. Mandzukic, they have the quality in this team to progress and really cause a threat in this tournament, like they did in the World Cup. Second place, England. England's team. I went through it in my previews of England's team. I don't think no matter what formation they play, this is the best team England's had, and the best chance England's had since the golden generation of Lampard, Beckham, Gerrard, all them. This is their best team. Phil Foden's dyed his hair like Gaza. It's meant to be. He's going to do one better than Gaza did and reach the final and may potentially win it. I've given away one of my predictions there, but... Or is that a prediction? Or am I just saying it? Because that's what's in my head. Maybe. Czech Republic, I think, will become third. And I think Scotland will become fourth. I think the Scottish players don't, apart from maybe Andrew Robertson and Kieran Tierney to an extent, they don't have the experience of playing in these bigger tournaments, especially at the international stage. I would love Scotland to do well, but I just don't think their squad is ready for it just yet. Group E, if we move on to them, Poland, Spain, Sweden and Slovakia. I think if we start off with Spain, I think their team, first time ever, I think they haven't got any Real Madrid players in there, which is, I think it does show how far Real Madrid have fallen over the recent years. Obviously Zidane's just left them, but they did okay Champions League wise, but it really does show the decline of this Spanish league, I think, in general. So, but I still think Spain will finish first with their team, very good team in there. Obviously, Eric Garcia being called up, he's moving to Barcelona in the summer. I do believe he will be. If you've heard me on the Main Event podcast before, you will know my feelings on Eric Garcia. So I think they'll come first in the group. Second place is a bit more difficult. I'm going to go with Sweden. I think compared to Poland, who I was debating putting here, they have a much more of an all-round better team, while Poland is Lewandowski or nothing, isn't it? So I think Sweden have just got the better chance of progressing through the automatic stages of the group stage. Poland, I think, have a good chance of becoming that third team, but I think Sweden is a much better team. And then if we move on to Slovakia, I don't know much about Slovakia. I haven't researched them much. Maybe I should have before recording this, but as I record this, it is 21 minutes past 3 in the morning on the 9th of June. So I didn't have time to research them as much as, or have as much knowledge in my brain as much as I did on some of the other teams. But we'll move on. So I think Slovakia will finish fourth. So we'll move on to Group F, the group of death, or as Smith called it, if anyone knows him, the group of F, which I thought was quite good. Portugal, France, Germany, and Hungary. I think we can already put Hungary in last place. I think they will just be outclassed, and I think it's completely unfair on them. I hope they do better than that. I hope they pull off the upsets, but I just can't see it happening. Germany, I think, will be third. I think they are very susceptible to a defeat. Been very shaky since winning the World Cup back in 2014. And I don't think they can really argue about that. You know, obviously, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, got beat off Macedonia. But, you know, we have to wait and see what happens. But I think Germany will finish third. Portugal second. Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Diaz. Who else have they got? Rupert Chicio in goal. If you've heard of FC Wonderkid on TikTok or their podcast, their pronunciations of the Portuguese national players are outstanding. So I just want to hear more of that as well. And then in first place in this group will be France. Their team is the best team out there, in my opinion. They have the best national team. Mbappe, Griezmann, Benzema, who obviously picked up an injury, Giroud, who else have they got? You know, Varane, Lloris, brilliant team. So I think Group F will finish France first, Portugal second, Germany third, and Hungary fourth. If we look at the Group F details, I am going to try and put this on screen if my editing skills know how to. If not, I'll post this as a video on Twitter. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, the link will be in the description. But now if you move on to the predict the 4 best third place teams. The 4 with the most points will progress to the knockout stage. So next we have Switzerland from Group A, Russia from Group B, Austria from Group C, Czech Republic from Group D, Poland from Group E, and Germany from Group F. I think the teams that will go through will be Poland, Germany, Russia, and Switzerland. So I think they're my teams to go through. I think they're the best out of the bunch. Austria maybe over Russia or Switzerland, but I think Russia and Switzerland have the better all-round quality to push through into the knockout stage. So if we move on to the knockout stage, my predictions have led to Belgium v Poland, Italy v Ukraine, France versus Switzerland, England versus Sweden, Spain versus Russia, Croatia versus Portugal, Netherlands versus Germany, Turkey versus Denmark. So, the first game, Belgium versus Poland. I think Belgium will win. I think it's just Belgium. You know, I explained before, one of the best national teams. If they are at full strength, even if they're not full strength, they should be beating Poland. Unless Lewandowski pulls off a masterclass and has an unreal tournament like he's had at club level, I don't see Poland really posing much of a threat. Next game, Italy-Ukraine. I think this is where Ukraine's journey comes to an end. As I think Italy, as I said before, massive underdogs, being on an extremely good run in recent internationals over the last 3 years. So I think that's that's them through. After that, France versus Switzerland. I'm going to go France. Purely because they, as I've literally just said, they are the best team in world football right now. Hopefully they can transfer that into the next tournament as they have in the previous two by getting to the finals of both, obviously winning the World Cup. And then after that we have England versus Sweden. I think England win that. Sweden, very good all-round team, but as I said before, this is England's best chance, I think, of winning anything. So hopefully they do, and hopefully they can progress past Sweden. Next is Spain versus Russia. This is a tough one. Spain haven't been the best in recent tournaments, but I think they do get past Russia. The next game I think is the biggest or second biggest of the knockout stage. Croatia versus Portugal. Croatia obviously getting to the World Cup final in 2018. Portugal obviously winning the Euros in 2016, so the current holders of the Euros. I do believe that Portugal will go through and beat Croatia. I think Portugal, they have brilliant defence, brilliant midfield, Ronaldo, and I think that's all that needs to be said. Ronaldo, pen merchant in Bruno Fernandes. They have a brilliant team. I think next up, Netherlands versus Germany. This is the toughest game to call. I'm going to go Netherlands to knock out Germany. I know, a bit of a surprise, especially since Netherlands have really struggled to get to major tournaments in the past couple of years. I think Netherlands' team at the minute, Memphis Depay, De Ligt, even the likes of Van Aanholt and Gini Wijnaldum, they are collectively, I think, a very, very strong team, and I think have the potential to do quite well. The last game is Turkey versus Denmark. I'm going to go with Turkey, as I think Yilmaz, who obviously has just won the league in France, I think will get firing again at international level and progress through. So that's the end of the round of 16. We move on to the quarterfinals. My quarterfinals I've predicted are Belgium versus Italy, France versus England, Spain versus Portugal, Netherlands versus Turkey. We start off with Belgium versus Italy. This is again a very tough game. I think this is where Belgium fault, and I think their lack of experience getting to later stages of tournaments. Obviously, we saw them against Wales in the last Euro quarterfinal, stumble and get knocked out. I think they'll do the same again. I think Italy go through. The next one is France versus the team I'm supporting, England. Obviously, being English, I really want England to win this, but I do believe France have just a little bit too much. And I'm really good. I predicted it this way. I didn't mean to, but I do think England get knocked out by France. The next one, this seems to happen in every tournament, Spain versus Portugal. I'm going to go with Portugal. I think that's where Spain falter as well. Portugal, I just remember that moment where Ronaldo got hit with a tax bill off the Spanish government and then scored a hat-trick against them on the night in the Euros. That was brilliant. So I think Portugal beat them. The final quarterfinal is Netherlands versus Turkey. I think the Netherlands, I'm going to go for them. But I don't think you can discount Turkey. I think if they do get to the quarterfinals, they will have some sort of pride about them for getting that far to being in with the big dogs. But I think that's where they go. So if we move on to the semi-finals now, we have Italy, France, Portugal, Netherlands. And my final will be France beat Italy. I think Italy, brilliant team. I think they will get all this way. even if I've predicted it wrong, they will get to at least semi-finals. But I think France are just too strong. And Portugal, I think it'll be a repeat of the last one. And my winner this time will be France. I think France will beat Portugal in the 2016 Euro final rematch. So that brings an end to my Euro prediction podcast. As you've seen, I do believe that France will come out victorious and win their second international major tournament in a row and beat Portugal in the rematch. But for now, I will just quickly go through some of the awards. I believe the player of the tournament will be Bruno Fernandes. I believe the golden boot will go to Kylian Mbappe. The silver boot to Harry Kane, and the bronze boot to Memphis Depay. Young player of the tournament, I think, will go to Kylian Mbappe. The man of the match award will go to Kylian Mbappe. And the team of the tournament, I believe, is a topic for another podcast. So if you want to hear that, let me know. But for now, I will leave you with all the traditional stuff of, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, please do, at the Untold Story Pod. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, please do, at Untold Story Pod _. If you want to email me, my business email will be in the description down below. But for now, the next time you will hear my voice is on the 10th of June on the Main Event podcast, as we are, at the minute, we are live streaming on there for our Euro Fantasy Squad reveals and who we have put in our 15-man squads for our fantasy teams for this year's Euro 2020 tournament. I'll leave that one in as a bit of a blooper reel left in. But for now, as I've said before, make sure you follow me and everything. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow me if you're on Spotify. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.